very, very straightforward. Thank you very much. Nice to meet. So, it's day one of the Open Summit. What have you found so far? What have you found out?
It's actually been really exciting for me, just seeing the ARM partnership that's on the show floor and demonstrating the platforms that they're talking about. I think if you look around the show floor, you'll see partners like Applied, Cavium, demonstrating the platforms. And if you think about the system integrators on the show floor, we have partners, have platforms with folks like Uwin, Hive, Stack, all of these different companies that are now demonstrating server platforms based on the ARM architecture. It's also interesting, actually, just looking through the keynotes, the amount of thinking has shifted more towards the SoC line of thinking, with emphasis being placed on overall system performance, and this is where the ARM partnership really shines. And of course, another partner that's here that truly represents how ARM is enabling the open source community is Linaro, who are also on the show floor here. And Linaro, as you may know, is a not-for-profit organization that was set up by ARM a few years ago, where the entire ARM ecosystem is collaborating on solving common Linux problems together. And in a short period of time, they've gone from being formed as a company to becoming the #2 contributor of Linux overall. So it gives you a feeling for the amount of open source work that's actually going on ARM-based platforms.
There's a lot of companies like that, and in the keynote this morning, I think Facebook alone mentioned 4 or 5 new startup companies. What's their secret sauce? What do they have a common, from your point of view, working with these companies? Is there one common denominator they have that makes them successful? Because it might be open source, but it's still a very competitive environment.
It's a very competitive environment, but I think open source kind of allows ideas to come from concept out to where someone can use it really, really quickly. And I think looking at platforms like some of the ARM-based platforms that are out there, whether it be Raspberry Pi, you saw on the show floor today, you saw people talking about how they're using Raspberry Pi in new and interesting ways, and that's based on ARM technology. You see a lot of software. You saw Broadcom contributing a software contribution today based on ARM technology. On stage today, you saw Mark Shuttleworth from Canonical talking about how you could easily provision different kinds of systems, and he had on stage an Applied Micro and a Cavium server platform there demonstrated. It really shows how when you have standards, you can still innovate and you can still have open source, and this is what the ARM partnership is bringing to the party, is new ways of thinking, new ways of innovating.
And what's new from ARM then? Have you brought anything to the show, or are you...
Our partners, this show, last year at the show, we announced our server-based system architecture. And the proof points that you see on the show floor today from partners like Applied Micro and Cavium, in terms of the kinds of systems that they're deploying and the kinds of software workloads that they're showing. I believe, Cavium, for example, is showing Nginx. They're also showing Ceph, which is an emerging storage workload. So you see a lot of different kinds of cloud-born or cloud-focused workloads that are actually up and running on ARM and being showcased on the show floor today.
And final question, where is the data center world going to be in 3 or 4 years' time? Is there one big development that you think, any particular...
I think it's going to be more fluid and dynamic than it is today, in the sense that today there's still kind of silos in terms of storage, memory, compute, and functionality is kind of siloed. I think we're going to go to a world where there are going to be a lot of flexible platforms. You're going to have to dynamically decide whether a deployment or a workload is more storage intensive or network intensive or compute intensive, and dynamically be able to provision that. And so you're going to see a lot more heterogeneity in the data center, but yet coupled by standard architectures that people can leverage their software on. So for example, you're going to see innovative accelerators come to the market that maybe will accelerate certain workloads. But deploying them is going to be simple because they're going to be kind of in this framework of standard architectures like ARM, coupled with these heterogeneous processing capabilities. It's going to really deliver more performance, and I think that paradigm is evolving.
So more complex but more open.
More complex, but yet simple. And I know it sounds paradoxical, but easier to deploy than complex systems are today.
Thank you, Lakshmi. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.